Hey everybody, Moshin Mikey back to bore you with some more music-filled vlog, whatever you call these things. Vlogs, I still call them. 2020, I go back to that a lot. Was a bad year for music. I mean, it's just bad. Nobody's been able to play, and it's like killed a lot of bands. I mean, it really, including mine. I mean, it just damaged it. Damaged you to the point where he just lost a lot of mojo, lost a lot of motivation, and then the election crap came at the end of the year. That was worse than the WuFlu, and then it's still going on. And then we had the Capitol chaos the other day, and we got the new administration coming in, and you get a conservative guy like me who's scared to death of what's going to happen. And the money, tax rate's going to go through the roof. Am I going to have to work a lot more to keep my? I mean, I don't have an elaborate lifestyle or anything, but to keep the lifestyle up, you're going to have to work more, so you can't less time to focus on music. With all the distractions and chaos going on in the world, fighting, riots, deaths and everything else. I mean, does it change your? I guess I'm curious as if it changes musicians' outlook. Because what I'm getting at is you spend a lot of time doing music. And you love it. That's why we do it. But it consumes a lot of your time if you really want to do it a lot. And if you have, you're working a lot, which is one thing, you're tired or whatnot, but then your family life's in there. And it's a tough balance. It was a tough balance before, but for me personally, every person in my life that's been around me knows how I am with music. Even my kids, they a lot of times where I'd be gone for 3 hours. They were there on the weekends when they were younger. It's like they either go with me or they'd stay by themselves not by themselves, but somebody would watch them. My ex-wife or whatever would stay home and watch them while I went to practice and stuff like that, And it's like everybody's been real supportive my whole life. I can't think of a time that I wasn't supported in what I did musically by anybody. One time I can remember in all my years, and this was really full band days. This was Rhineck days, 1992 era, okay? And I made that mistake. It was my mistake on this, because I'd been allowed to go to practice. I would leave at 9 in the morning and, get home in the afternoon. And really, usually I would be, kind of tipsy or whatever and didn't do a whole lot, but I didn't get a lot of grief for that, and, I mean, 92, 93, I think it was, about there. But there was a couple times. And then the one time that was real bad that stands out with that was I went and we were supposed to record, I think, that day or something, out in little Kentucky out there. And it got blowed up, got fucked up. So, me and Rod Scott, we started drinking a little bit, probably too much. A lot too much. And, we decided to extend it from there after we were drinking, because we're just disappointed and kind of pissed, everything didn't go well and everybody was mad, everybody had a bad day. We were ready to do it and it didn't come through. And so we ended our day at the local watering hole. At that time, I think it was the old Wingers. So the Wingers that was, in kind of by the bowling alley. That dates me big time because there's no bowling alley there anymore. But on Michigan Avenue, whatever. That's what I'll say. For people that don't know where we are, the old Wingers, most of you my age is going to know. So we're sitting in the old Wingers at like 5:30 and pretty drunk, So who comes in? Rod, I think it was Rod's wife and mom and my wife, my ex-wife now. They weren't too happy. They weren't real happy with us. And I got a little spanking for that for a while. It is like I had to go to practice and come home. I couldn't be out there drinking all damn day. Yeah, I was young and dumb. I was 23 and one, yeah, 24 maybe. And yeah, you do stupid shit. And as I got older, we still like to party on practice days for a long time into my late 40s. I still drink beer at practice, and I didn't get trashed like I did then, but still, I didn't catch any flack from, my ex-wife or my current wife, and it's like, it's kind of everywhere I go. And I go into plenty of practices without drinking a drop, but there's plenty of times where I drank them, and then we used to have like all-day band practices, and with cookouts afterwards, and it'd be an all-day thing from like noon to midnight, and probably other things they would have rather been doing, but they knew they knew how I felt about music and playing music, and my kids were the same. They knew if they knew I had that I was into music, and then they didn't care. They didn't express that they cared anyway. I don't think they ever did, because my kids are pretty straightforward. They're gonna tell me, hey, yeah, that's bullshit. I haven't heard it to this day. Now, if they're out there watching, they can tell me, hey, Dad, yeah, I was pissed. But no, they never said nothing. That's been total support from everybody I've known. All my friends, they know when I couldn't do something because I had a gig, or hey, I can't go watch this, Ohio State game on Saturday because I got a gig, or I'd say, well, I'm playing in, someplace like Piqua. Ohio State game's on, but it'd be on until blah, 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 and they would show up. I had friends that numerous times came to our shows, came to my shows, and great. I had coworkers come to my shows, and so I've been blessed in that support system that I've had playing music, even the local level, and we're not cover bands. I did 2 shows in my life that were cover bands, 2 sets basically, and not really one full-fledged cover band I did. And then there was another couple shows where we did a bunch of covers because we had to play all night, but it wasn't like a pressure situation. It was always like a party or a bar that we weren't getting paid anything. We're like, well, we're just going to do what. But he said, free reign. Play all your originals if you want. Play, we'll throw covers in there just to make it look good. You can do that. But, here's your 12 drink tickets. And I think I was the only one drinking. So, it maybe split with one other person or something. But it was worth it to me just to get to play music. It wasn't never about the money, and it never has been. But and with that, this year, this past year in 2020, and then so far this year, you're not getting to play anywhere. And, music's not a cheap hobby or passion for people. And, they spend a lot of money on stuff. And it's hard to do when you don't have a payoff at the end. You really just don't. Self-satisfaction's great. And that's my moniker I live by. I don't play music to play it for you. I'm going to play this just for you, and I don't care that I don't like it or whatnot. I don't do that. I play what I want to do. And it's been that way forever. And that's the most thankful thing that I'm most thankful for is the ability to play the music I wanted to play. Not just the songwriting parts, but and as I got older, it's like for me, the bad downfall, I guess, for me, was I went from we started out years ago in standard tuning. And for me as a singer, back then it fit. As a drummer, it didn't bother me, standard tuning, but then when I got involved into the singer part, it was like, yeah, it fit. And then we had to move, as I got older, my voice started, doesn't matter, that's just so high. That standard's too high for me to sing to. So it dropped to, went to drop D in my cattle band. And so LC played in drop D for a little bit. And from standard to drop D was good for my voice. And then it still didn't sound right. So we went to D. And the majority of what we played the last, I want to say decade, was probably in D. And that's where I kind of stayed. And then I had a side project in UO back in 2010 or whatever. We were, I think, in D also. But then we came back with the new, when I was in the UO, the Undying Obsession. We went to a drop B tuning, which, at first we talked about drop C or a C. Then we went to drop B, and that seemed to work too. So it was working. But now it's like I'm not a growler or anything, but my voice has changed definitely. If I listen to, and I went back, Jamie from Laughing Cattle made me a full CD of every song we've ever done, from the very first album, all the way to the very last song I ever wrote. Every last song I ever wrote for him, which I didn't even sing on the recording. It was, the last song I wrote was Creeper, which John took over singing when I left, and they recorded that song. I never recorded that song, but it's a song I wrote. But so he made me this disc anyway of every song from the whole Cattle collection, you want to call it. And I listened to it, and it's like the first album was like Ozzy Osbourne sounding high. It was like I didn't have a lot of effects on the voice, but I had some. But it was like, yeah, man, my voice was high. And then went to the second one, it dropped a little bit. And third one, progression until the last one was maybe a little higher than what I do now, but not a lot. I mean, it's pretty even, but it's kind of where I plateaued, I guess. But it's fun to go back and revisit all that. All the years changes. I watch the videos, and then and the videos do one thing, and see your different body sizes. I mean, I was real big like I am now, and then I got smaller when I was on a diet, and I got big again, and I got smaller again. My facial hair, I had the long beard, I had the Amish beard, I had just a mustache, I had no hair at all, I had a goatee like this, and it's just fun to watch the videos, but then also just to sit and listen to, and the production. The production we did, the first album was a home inside, played in his house, 4-track. And then we also did another EP with a 4-track in the house, or 8-track, maybe 8-track in the house out there in Little Kentucky, and at the ranch. And then we did a full-blown studio in 97. Full-blown studio of analog, full-blown studio of digital. And then we moved to basement studio, like a cellar studio, whatever you want to call it, and used Pro Tools. And we did that twice. So we've been kind of around the gamut. And then when I was in the UO, we did one EP at Rephrase down in Dayton, which is an excellent studio, and it's a big time studio with the Star Wars looking control panel board and everything. And then we went to another basement studio for the second one, and it was still good quality. It was just a lot closer. It was in Versailles at Wood Street. So, but listening to all the different recordings and how you evolve, and you listen to your, like Jamie's guitar, how he played different sounds, and my vocals, and then the different multitude of different bass players, how each one of them sounded different, had a different tone. The one album we had 2 guitar players on Big Rock was the only album we ever had 2 guitar players, so you got a definite vibe from that. Different heights of guitars and back and forth, and the backing vocals. I mean, how we arranged them and stuff. It's all cool, and it's like you listen to stuff like that, and you go back to your memory banks, and you listen to that, and it kind of brings you back, and you think, I want to play music, and then you have like a shit show that happened, not a shit show, but I should say the shit show that happened in the country. And, it's you're just so overwhelmed with that, and people say, well, you need to block that out, and you need to do it's in your face, and not just because I'm a conservative guy. And, I was a Trump supporter and still am a Trump supporter, but I'm just an American. I just don't want to see the country go to crap. And I'm seeing all this crap going with division and the fighting and just the craziness over the rigged election and the aftermath. What's going to happen? The fear of the unknown. And then you got all that going on. Plus the WuFlu is still here. The WuFlu is setting records apparently. And I know people that have COVID and it's fucking nasty. And so maybe I take it too lightly sometimes, but maybe I don't. But, it's still, when are we going to get to play? When are people going to get to play shows again? When are they going to open bars for bands, that I can go watch bands and cover bands and original bands? It don't matter. You can't go hardly anywhere. And if you do, then in the back of your mind, you're like, I don't know these people. Or they got the COVID. I got to deal with getting the COVID, or if somebody there has COVID and they contract, they put you on the contact tracing list and you got to miss work, and it's like you're stuck in your damn house. And music's great, but for a guy like me that doesn't play instruments, or that can play the drums, but I don't have room in this house now to play a full-fledged drum set, and an electronic kit would be okay, but my role normally in a band right now is not a drummer, because I play drums for fun, or to sit in when we're trying to write a song or something, and I'm like, I would play a drum beat because it's what's in my head, and they could write the guitar to it and stuff. Strange way of writing. I mean, I've written 100 different ways, and I've talked about this before, but majority of the time I have the words in my head, and I have a beat of some kind. A lot of songs, I don't play bass, but a lot of times I get a bass line in my head. Oh shit! And maybe I would have had more patience and more drive to learn instruments. I just didn't have it. Not that I didn't want to. I didn't have the patience for it. And drums was somewhat easy because I just had normal rhythm. But I'm not a good drummer, but I could play, put it this way, I could play for Tom Petty or John Cougar or somebody like that. That's not real out of the box. They're pretty steady. Some AC/DC I could probably get by with or something. But you get into the stuff, the Metallicas even, and all this new stuff. There ain't no way I can play that stuff. I can't play double bass at all. I am not coordinated enough to play double bass. My leg was usually the problem anyway. I got screwed up kick bass. I'm just not very good at organizing the leg down there. But anyway, I mean, I know I'm just rambling, which is fine. This is what these videos are. But I guess I've seen little discussion really about how this impacted bands. I know a lot of bands they just kind of disappeared. They didn't make any statements. They didn't have any, farewell parties or farewell shows, live streams, anything. Just kind of sitting there waiting, I guess. I don't know if they're home practicing or what they're doing. But, I'm waiting for some kind of new vibrant music to come out. I love every kind of music, just about every kind of music there is. Playing wise, I've never gotten really past the sludge. I mean, it's about as heavy as I've gotten so far. It's from being a normal rock, back when in Rhinebeck, which was my first real full staffed band, and I mean it was 5 of us. And that was a hard rock band. For the early 90s, it was pretty hard rock. I mean, it would remind you of a precursor of what to come with Godsmack, maybe. That kind of heavy sort of stuff. Then we went to Lame Excuse, which was I call it like a southern glam. It was weird. It was just had a southern, we only wrote one or two songs on it, but it just wasn't super heavy, but it was catchy and it was kind of glamish just to me. I guess because of the words were kind of goofy and stuff, and I was trying to be more of a Southern. I think Junkyard or somebody was out then, and it was like trying to maybe mimic them a little too much. And I liked Junkyard back in the day, and it just didn't. Then we went to Rhineck, which was harder rock. I mean, well, Lame Excuse was before Rhineck, and I give it that backwards. So then Rhineck was the harder rock, like a precursor for Godsmack. So when we got out of that, we went to Laughing Cattle, which was just two of us, and I kind of, didn't really have any comparison for that. It was like the first album, especially, was like, I don't really know who this sounds like. I mean, you listen to it now, it's like, yeah, some of it sounded like complete shit. But there was a couple good songs on there. I mean, there was some songs on there that surprised me when I listened to them again. I was like, man, that was pretty good for just being two of us and being a novice drummer and never singing on any kind of recording before. I mean, other than in somebody's basement. And to actually try to record and vocals and take it seriously at some point, but it's like, it's different to listen to that. And then you progress to every one. And I think the vocals didn't per se get better, but I think they got a little more defined, and the songwriting definitely got better. I went off of the goofy shit and more onto, I don't want to say serious, but I'm just saying you didn't have to throw an F-bomb in every second, and you didn't have to make it about stuff that's just goofy off the wall subjects. You can, not so much serious, just not so goofy, I guess you call it. And then the last album I did, like with Laughing Cattle in 2011, that was my go-to. That was my attempt at a masterpiece. It was the concept album. It was 10 songs all revolved into about a certain subject. They all linked together, and it was interesting to write. It was very fun to write, and that's still probably my crowning achievement is the concept album. Every song on there is pretty solid. I mean, I like all the songs as far as the lyrics. Couple vocals I wish I could take back, but they're still okay. But for me, but a couple of them, you always want to have a couple you can take back. And then the UO. So I go into the Undying Obsession the second time, and the initial project revolved around the 2010 UO. We had a couple year run there, and we played some shows and stuff, but we never recorded anything. So when me and Scott, who's the guitar player in UO now, he was the bass player back in the original inception of the Undying Obsession, and he was playing guitar this time, and he had played guitar on one song back in. I think him and the bass player would switch for Never Forgotten or Miserable maybe, but they had a couple songs they switched on, and he played guitar, so he wasn't unfamiliar with it. But we decided when we got together again, we said, hey, let's get these songs recorded. Well, we went in to practice with me and Scott, and my daughter, Hannah, was on the drums, and we wrote 5 new songs. That's like the first 3 practices we wrote the first EP. And because we had started to say we're going to do these old songs, and then we just said, hey, let's just freeball it here and see what happens. And we spit out 5 songs, which is great. That was the first EP, so we didn't get to any of the old songs. So, and it wasn't by design. It was, the Mission is the name of the EPs. They had a specific meaning, but it wasn't designed for, like, the mission was to get the songs. There was a lot of things behind the mission. The mission was, for me, was I can do this. And I've been in a band for 24 years before this. So it's like, I can go out and do another project. It doesn't define me to leave Laughing Cattle, and I'm not going to be dead in the water. I can still go do other things. But then that was only part of the mission. Another part of the mission was to record the old UO songs. And then another mission for me, another part of the mission was to have the kid play drums for me. and the mission is accomplished. I mean, the mission was accomplished in the two EPs that we did. It was, the Mission Volume 1 was brand new, and the Mission Volume 2 was four of the old UO songs, the four that we decided would do. And I think we were going to do all five, and then we ended up, Nathan had a bass line and come in, and it was cool bass line, and Hannah worked up the drums real quick. It was like, oh yeah, let's do this. Because it was a song I had tried to write at the end of the Cattle days. I had written it, and we worked on it like one practice, and it just wasn't gelling up. But I kept it in my back pocket, which I do every song. So Sunday Drive, the last song on the Mission Volume 2, was the brand new song that Nathan had got involved in the writing process on, brand from scratch. So we kind of had everything in the Mission, in the Undying Obsession, those two albums, the EPs. They're a good listen if you want to check them out. The Undying Obsession, Missions Volume 1 and 2, Spotify, Amazon, iHeart, whatever. They're everywhere, anywhere you can go. And then, of course, the Laughing Cattle collection, I think there's only 2 albums on the internet that I know of on Spotify and stuff. Redemption is the one that I sang on, and then they have Out of the Box. If you're so inclined to check those out, Out of the Box was the one they did post Mikey, I guess you'd call it. But it does have Creeper on it. I wrote Creeper, it's got Creeper and Kill Floor both on there, and I wrote both of those, so I still got some songwriting credits on them bad boys, right? Can't hurt. Anyway, I just wanted to jump on here. I mean, I hope everybody that's in a band that is struggling right now can work it out, and we all want to stick together. I mean, if going on a hiatus isn't the end of the world. I mean, it's a troubling time right now in this country, and it's troubling. I mean, for the Democratic liberals and stuff, it's probably A-okay. And that's fine, if you're Democratic liberal and you want to play music because you're on top of the world right now. Well, conservative guys like me, it's like kind of bums you out and you're nervous. You just don't know what the future holds, and it's like, just kind of rolls around in your stomach, and you're trying to plan out what your next move is, and it's hard to work and you're working, and the workplace is all screwed up from the WuFlu and everything else, and it's hard to work. It's just hard to get the music part in there, and it's sad that happened. I mean, it sucks that it's happening now, and I know other bands that I know personally have struggled getting into practicing, and this a lot of sickness, or it's just they don't have time, or they they had to switch shifts, and I'm that way too. I went from A shift to back to B shift, back to A shift, and I'm still adjusting to A shift. So it's like it's a multitude of excuses. I get it. I'm not going to sit here and say, excuses after excuse. There's no excuse. It's just you gotta have priorities, and priorities sometimes involves taking some time off from music. And whether you like that or not, sometimes it's for mental reasons and family reasons, and the good stuff. The priorities, family's first, right? And your band family's second. Well, you gotta have work in there. You gotta have a job. Well, most of us have to have a job. I have to have a job. So priority for me is is family, job, band. That's just how it's been. It's how it's always going to be. But I enjoy music too much to say I'll ever quit. I'll ever give it up. But I will sidestep it once in a while, and I'll still write songs. I write songs all the time. It don't matter if I'm in a band or on hiatus or in 3 bands or not in nothing or sitting at home staring at the wall. I'm still going to write a song sometime or later. I got notebooks full of them. And I've used a bunch that, that waited 5 years to be used. And That's just how it works sometimes. Sometimes you write a song in the same day in 10 minutes. Sometimes you write a song 12 years ago and it gets pulled out at a practice and bam, there it is. Never thought it'd get done. There's also songs where you tried to write them 5 different styles and 5 different ways and you can never get it. So it sucks that way. But, just hope everybody is maintaining, and we'll come out with some new music and we can get some fucking shows and some partying going on. Hopefully the WuFlu dissipates with the administration change, which is my conspiracy theory. But like I said, if I want to get into politics and stuff, it's the 0 hours. 0 hours on Spotify, Apple Podcast, whatever. The 0 hours. Man, gotta plug. But anyway, next time I'm going to be on here, I might just do one Monday or something. I don't know. It's the National Championship games Monday night, so probably not. But maybe next week sometime. I want to get into the discussion of genres next time. So I'm going to hit the genres, why I like certain ones, why I don't like other ones, and see what take is on it from people out there. I get any comments or whatever. That's great. Yeah. So keep at it. Keep the faith and persevere in your music career. See, I'm rhyming already. Didn't even know it. Have a great day, everybody. Please stay safe out there and keep on rocking. See you next time.